What's going on, guys? It's your boy Sadiq. Welcome to the network.
It's your girl Angela. What's up?
Hey, what's good, Angie?
Not much,
How was your week?
It was good.
Yeah, doing anything
Busy.
fun? Busy?
Yeah, it was busy week.
Yeah,
Had a
and
couple like closings and thank you.
congratulations. I finally got a property on the
Oh
contract.
snap! Do your money dance
Oh my god. Hey, as long as this whole
for a
entire
buyer.
yeah, for a buyer, man. You know how hard it is right now in this market,
How long
man.
have you been working with them?
Oh man, this buyer actually I've been working with this buyer maybe for like maybe about a couple months now
Oh,
actually.
that's not bad.
But I've helped their parents. I've helped a bunch of their friends and family so far
Oh yeah.
going through a process of buying and selling properties, and
Yep.
they've given me a bunch of referrals. So it's major shout out to them. They also own multifamilies as well, so now they're ready to shift over
Oh, you found
into
them a
owning.
single?
Yeah, found them a single, man.
Nice.
At first, I almost thought they were gonna walk away from the deal because the seller accepted their offer. There was some little like discrepancies that we're trying to clear out. I
Yep.
mean, clear up within the offer, and we finally got that cleared and understood on both ends. And then I send them over the contract, and then and the next day I didn't get because it was late night when I sent it over to them. The next day I get a text message. Oh no, that evening actually, like around 10:30 or something like that, saying saying that I'll give you a call tomorrow, but then we're going back out type situation.
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
from your client.
what?
That's from your client.
For my client, I'm like,
Oh, you were
what?
sending it to them to sign.
I sent them the
Oh
contract, all the
man.
paperwork, the disclosures, everything to sign, and just to listen to a voicemail saying that they'll give me a call the next day. They thinking about backing out. I was in shock. I'm like this property is solid. Property in North Providence, really nice single family home. It has a very the property is almost 100 years old. New
Mm-hmm.
England properties already as it is. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of these homes are 100 plus years
Yeah,
old.
yeah.
But the current owners, the sellers, did a great job, an immaculate job maintaining that property, and just the
Yep.
aesthetics, the layout, everything just had a very nice modern, but at the same time they kept some of the unique characteristics
Yeah,
of that
yeah.
home. So I'm like, yo, they gonna walk away from this property. So then
That's a
the
tough. Don't you hate that feeling when you feel like
you got it.
you got it,
Yeah.
like you've done all this conversation. You find like that unicorn,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh man, you feel like you're patting yourself on the back,
I'm
like oh my
like,
god,
damn, we got this in the bag
they're
right
gonna
here.
love me, they're gonna be so excited, and then they're like, psych.
Yeah, and then when I spoke to them, they were like, "Oh, we're having family issues. I guess what it came down to health issues, stuff like that." I'm like, "Damn." I'm like, I understand. There's no one thing about me, I don't pressure none of my clients
Mm-mm.
whatsoever. I don't think no agents should do that. And then later on that evening, the following day, they were like, "Hey, sorry, we just had family issues, boom, bada bang. Um, but we'll like to continue moving forward if the property's still available." Man, I got my phone, hit up the listing agent. Hey, is this property still available? We're moving forward. They're
Yep.
like, yeah. I'm like, dang God. So we definitely move forward with that property. We're under contract officially now. So next
Yay.
phase, man.
Yay. Congratulations.
Hey,
But you know
thank you,
what? I was
thank you,
actually
thank you.
having a conversation with a really good friend of mine this
Yeah.
week, and we were just talking about life stuff. But the advice I had given him was just like whatever decision you make for whatever you're going through, just
Yeah.
don't make it if you're too happy, if you're
Mm,
too sad,
yeah.
if you're too mad.
Yeah.
Like you should always be as level-headed when you're making any kind of major
Yeah.
decision. You
Facts.
even making a decision when you're too happy,
Hmm.
like you can't do that. You're not seeing the potential issues. You're not really looking at things clearly.
Yeah.
Um so it's kind of interesting, they were having problems
Hmm.
and they were going to make a decision probably, and if it was health issues like
Hmm.
being scared or nervous about like what the future is,
Yeah.
and then therefore they couldn't make a genuine and a good
Just
decision
yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
So
No, I definitely agree, and I've noticed I like working with, excuse me, clients that are very decision forward, if that makes sense. They just don't make decision based off emotions. They make decisions based off if it's right for them, and for the family.
mm-hmm.
Especially when we're in the market right now where like, we all know we're in a housing shortage. So people are going to try putting offers on properties just so they can lock in something, which in a lot of cases could be the wrong mistake if you're not aware of what's going on, or if you don't understand the paradigm of that house itself or what's going on. You can put yourself in a pickle.
Yeah.
No, I mean a sticky situation. That's
Yeah.
the last thing you want to do, because then we're the one who looks bad as agents.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's the worst thing that I would ever want a client to go through.
Yeah. But at least they're moving forward. So still
Yeah.
very beginning stages.
Yes. Yes. Very
No
still
inspections
early.
yet.
No, I just actually on the way here booked the inspection, the date for the inspection. So we should be locking that in. That should be locked in today. Next week. Shout out to Home Pro Inspections. They do a lot of my
Do
inspections.
they,
Yeah.
Hank?
Shout out to Hank,
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Mackenzie.
yeah, yeah. I just I
They
had the
good
seller.
peoples.
I just had a seller we locked into to contract, and so the buyers use Hank. So I got to
Yeah.
see him the other day. He's cool.
No,
I like Hank.
Hank and Mackenzie, his daughter Mackenzie, are really, really great people.
Yeah.
I've been using them for quite some time, So I like what they're doing over there. They support the community, they support um a lot of realtors. They do a lot of functions, sponsor a lot of events. So shout
Yeah.
out to them.
And they're like technologically
Hmm.
they're kind of advanced.
Yeah.
Like their system, because I got they do the recall report.
Yep.
I know, I'm sure other inspectors do it,
Yeah.
but Home Pro over there, they send you like that nice report because they
Yeah.
go over each appliance and they see
Yeah.
if there's any recalls.
And I think they also provide like coverages too. Like when they're done with the inspection, they give you like a whole folder, a
Oh
whole
yeah, yeah.
binder of like, if this was to happen, give us a call, boom, by the bing. And they also, within that binder or folder, they also give you tips, ideas of what you call things to do if anything was to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
So they provide a lot of information,
Yeah.
So just drop name dropping real quick. Shout out to Home Pro Inspection for the things that they do when it comes to inspecting homes. Other than that, on a good note, for the most part, like the week's been good. I feel good. Ramadan's
I
over.
know.
You know what I mean? Like during Ramadan, like what's crazy? During Ramadan, I felt very spiritually grounded for some reason.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I felt good. I felt at peace. There was a lot of things that became clear to me for the most part, and like I felt one with myself, and it taught me some discipline.
Yeah.
You know,
I know I said it to you before, but this Ramadan was different than last
it
Ramadan.
felt different.
Last Ramadan you were definitely a little hangry.
Yeah.
You were definitely a little bit more like, you can see like the moodiness,
Yeah.
because like you were a little spicy last year. Like not mean, but you can tell it was a little bit more of a struggle to
Yeah.
get through the fasting, where this
Yeah.
year it was it
It was
was
smooth
it was
sailing.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, like last year when we were at that comedy event with the
Oh,
office,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I distinctly remember you being like stomach in knots, waiting for like sundown, telling the waitress like,
Yeah.
"Hey, at like
Bring my food at
7:02,
this time.
7:02, you can bring out my food." And then you didn't talk. You
I
just
was
you
hungry
just
that day.
mowed
Yeah.
down whatever food you got. And then this year, I don't know, it was a
Not.
lot more smooth and
Yeah, it was
more
definitely,
clarity.
yeah, there was definitely clarity and focus to it. So I'm definitely happy for this year. Now shout out to everybody that did Ramadan as well, because like I said, it's a spiritual journey for those who practice,
I saw this thing on
so
TikTok where this lady called, she wasn't she's not Muslim, but
no.
she was like, "I'm just so excited for the Eid fits," because she's like, it's like the Met
It
Gala
really is. It
of
really,
Islam. And
really
I was
is.
like, "Oh
Yeah.
snap." I was like, I never heard anyone put it like
It's
that, but
really
it's
true.
so true.
All right, no, I didn't. So, a friend of mine actually said the same thing too, and I didn't think about it till she mentioned it. She was like, "Did you dress up?" I was like, "Yeah, I dressed up, but I wasn't like really like on that like
No.
fit level." She was like, "What? What? Eat?" Everybody dresses to impress. I guess, like you said, it's like that Met Gala type.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to show off their fit.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Yep.
Ankaras, whether it's Jalabis, whether it's
No, and then
the
like,
white
yeah, the
one.
different cultural
It's
ones are
different
kind of
cultures are
dope.
all, yeah,
Those ones
it's
were dope. I
dope.
was following some of like the TikTok videos, and then you have some people from the Middle East, you have
Yeah,
people from Africa, so
everywhere.
they're busting out
Some ill
their
ass fits.
their cultural stuff.
Yeah,
And then the women,
Yeah, the women's fits are
The
fire.
women in
Yeah,
like in the hijabs,
yeah.
they
Nah,
oh man, they
nah, they
kill it.
kill it. They kill it, man. Yo, I could see that becoming a more profound thing moving forward in the future. Everybody's going to
Like, and
dress to impress.
it is superficial, and I get that, but there's also this, right? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so even though I don't know a lot about Islam,
Hmm.
I know a little bit
Yeah.
because I'm not ignorant.
Yeah.
But I think it's a beautiful way to kind of share a simple part of the
Hmm.
culture
Yeah.
to kind of almost make it like a little bit more mainstream,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? There's not this like negative connotation associated because we already know how people can be. When
Yeah.
it comes to
Facts.
other religions that are not
Facts.
Christianity,
Facts.
they get all weird.
Yeah.
But so I like it. I
Yeah.
like that people are taking notice.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, it's definitely dope seeing people pull out their
So
hottest
like next year I
fits.
got to pay more attention
I think
because
next year I think next year I'm going to try to pull out some ill ass fit for next year too. I
you
don't know
should.
what's going to be, but I don't want to show off for next year.
I can see it now. You're gonna be booking a whole photo shoot.
I could definitely do
Sadiq's
something fly, man. I could do something fly.
Eve with Sadiq.
But on another note, moving forward towards real estate, I want to talk about something crazy that just happened to me recently. And like in real estate, we've been going through like issues when it comes to like rentals and all this other stuff. And I had one of my homegirls reach out to me um about a week ago, a week 2 weeks ago, and she hit me up on Facebook, and she was looking for a rental unit, and I don't have no rental units. I didn't have no rental units available, right? And she was just speaking to me. She was like, "Hey, Sadiq, I'm looking for a rental unit. Boom, by the bang. This is the situation that happened. I guess where she was staying at, she got into an altercation at the apartment that she was at, and I believe they were evicted or they were
Mm.
kicked out. Something happened where
Oh, it
she
must have
had to
been a
leave.
violation on the lease
Some
if there was an altercation.
something.
Because that can be it. That's if you're using a Rhode Island standard
Hmm.
lease. I almost feel like that's in there because
Mm,
I use the Rhode Island standard lease.
yeah.
That's like in MLS that we
Yep.
have
That I
access
use the
to.
same one too.
Because to
Yep.
me, it's very thorough. It's already
Yeah.
been checked. But
Facts.
damn,
Facts. Yeah. So she had to leave and stuff like that. She was arrested for whatever issue that was there. She got out that same day. Um. So she's telling me the story, and I'm just tuned in, and I was just telling her I currently don't have nothing available. I could check with my office. We typically have rents of properties available for rent, you know. And then she kept on going deeper and she was like, she currently isn't working, this and that. And like at the end of the day, when a tenant's trying to rent, a landlord's gonna wanna know, are you employed?
right.
They're gonna want to see what your credit's like, and most importantly, right now, which is more from what I think is very important to a lot of these landlords is eviction. They want to know if you've been evicted, right?
Mm,
Because that's a crucial factor in the decision making.
yeah.
So and I told her those things, and then she was like she couldn't think of nobody to reach out to. She thought about everybody because she really needed the help. So she just thought about me because I was a realtor. And then she went into a deeper story. She was like, before I even reached out to you, um, I have an uncle. She was like, I have an uncle. He owns a bunch of multi properties in Providence. I'm like, all right, cool. And I just, as I'm listening, she started crying, you know, and she was like, that her uncle was like, yeah, um, I've always liked you since you were young and whatnot. Um,
Mm-mm.
I don't mind renting you one of the units, but I want to sleep with you. You know what I mean? And she was crying on the phone, like explaining this story. I'm like, damn, I didn't even know what to say. You know,
Uncle.
her own uncle, and I felt fucking bad about the whole
That's disgusting.
situation. Is very disgusting. He's a slum bag landlord. You know, he doesn't even deserve to be around. For that type of shit. And I just felt like he knew her weak point. He's always had it in the back of his head that So that means he's been thinking about wanting to sleep with her for years.
That's
For years. And just looking at her and
a
taking
whole predator.
a whole predator and just looking at her and knowing where she's at right now in a weak moment, in a
Yeah,
weak
yeah.
point.
He's
He
literally
was
preying
preying on
on
that.
her vulnerability for
Yo,
sure.
that
And
shit is
that's exactly
crazy.
that's what predators do. That's
That's
exactly what
wild.
predators do. That's why you can't believe people when they say things like, "Oh, I couldn't have assaulted that woman.
Yeah.
I have daughters. I
Mm,
have a mother. I have sisters." So
yeah.
that that doesn't negate the fact that you're a scumbag.
Yeah.
And in this case, this dude is ultimate. He saw his niece vulnerable, like in a vulnerable state,
Yeah.
and try to get her to sleep with him.
And just so he could be able to rent out a unit. So that means like if she slept with
If he's gonna do that to her, you imagine the people that he's done that to. Actually, there
facts.
was an SVU episode similar to that.
Oh, for real.
Fun fact: I love SVU. I love Law and Order SVU. I was just saying this a couple weeks ago. Like sometimes I be feeling like I'm part of the
a,
squad.
a lot of
Like
SVU
like
stories are based on
I
real
know, but I
deal
really be
situations.
actually I watched I so it's my comfort thing. I
Yeah.
listen to it
Yeah.
because I've seen like every single episode.
Yeah.
But I'll just replay them and I'll listen to them
Mm,
on like as background noise. So
mm.
that's what I did on my way here instead of listening to music.
I,
That's just the vibe I was on, listening
uh-huh.
to. I don't know. There's something comforting about hearing Sergeant Tutuola's voice. But
I,
it was an episode about that. They were there was like this luxury building,
mhm.
but it was New York, so
Yeah.
a certain amount has to go to low income,
Yeah.
whatever. So that kind of stuff is true. And there was the super was in on it, some
Mhm.
councilwoman was in on it, and a
Yeah.
bunch of like powerful politicians were in on this one scheme where they would get women,
Mhm.
particularly single mothers, because they're
Mhm.
more
Yeah.
vulnerable, um, into these units, and then basically they would have to sleep with these politicians, the super, and all this stuff in order to
Mm.
maintain and keep these like beautiful apartments,
Yeah.
like in really nice building.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the episode. It ended up being this whole thing where they did this big crackdown and they bagged up the politicians and
But
all of that.
isn't it crazy how we live in a world where like people will really prey on your vulnerability? I think for certain things, it might make sense, right? From a strategic standpoint,
A
right?
fine line
That's why I said
praying
that's
and
from a
studying.
strategic standpoint. That's why I
Yeah.
stated from a strategic standpoint. But in terms of taking advantage of someone's vulnerability and their weakness, where it can mess with them mentally and emotionally for the rest of their life. Now that I feel like that's a different type of
I mean, physically, like this dude was ready to rape his niece
yeah, yeah,
because that would constitute rape
yeah, 100%
because
facts.
she couldn't fully like accept it because really he would have been doing something while she's in duress.
Mm.
She's making a decision based on that.
And you know what's crazy? I was thinking to
And
my
housing,
yeah,
like that's a basic necessity. So
yeah,
to use that against somebody,
yeah, yeah. I was thinking. I don't know if this is a proper way of man. How I was thinking, right? Because I felt so bad, and because I understood where she was at, vulnerability wise. I hope she doesn't fall into the situation where she gives herself up
mm-mm.
because she needs housing.
She should call SVU. And she should call SVU in Providence every
Not to laugh, but
no, it's true.
Angela's
She
crazy.
should call SVU. That's what she should do and set this person up because I guarantee you it's not the first time
Mm,
he has tried it.
yeah.
And then I'm sure there are things available because I used to do some volunteering at a few shelters,
Hmm.
and they do have like family shelters
Yeah. I
where
believe that's where she's staying right
at
now.
minimum she'll have her own room.
Yeah.
If she has kids, they'll have that. They even have like some shelters have access, and it's more like an apartment. It might
Yeah.
be studio, but
Yeah.
you have your own kitchen or kitchenette space. So
Gotcha.
you have some like you feel like you have more autonomy, and you have it's not like, oh, just like cots lined up.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not as demoralizing and demeaning. So hopefully she is in a safe space
Yeah.
and she gets some support and maybe musters up some energy to report his ass because he's gross and he deserves to be in jail.
Yeah. Not facts. And if you guys know anybody that's out there that has some form of programs to help individual like this young lady, please, you know, comment below, or leave or DM us,
DM
right?
us, yeah,
DM
for
us,
sure.
let us know what you guys have, or if there's any program where we could forward the young lady specifically to these programs, so hopefully she can make better use of it to put herself in a better
Yeah.
situation.
Or if you've been in a similar situation or have dealt with something and you've gotten out of it, or you know somebody that has, that would be a like write to us,
Yeah,
because she probably feels very alone too,
that,
and
I
feels like
bet.
it, and unfortunately she's not.
Yeah,
There's that kind of stuff happens so frequently,
yeah,
but it's just not talked about. So you
yeah.
do feel very lonely. So it'd be nice if we can kind of give her some other advice, because I haven't been in a situation like that.
You know what be interesting. I won't mind. I would like to actually. This is maybe a traumatic type situation for somebody, but I wouldn't mind talking or inviting a guest onto a platform to share their story, as long as they're open to
Oh yeah.
sharing their story. But I think it'll be dope for someone who's been in a situation like this to share their story and give light to other young women who's being preyed on, you
Hmm.
know, by maybe a friend, an uncle, or whatever, someone who has a close correlation.
Familial rape is actually the most common.
I
Like,
heard,
well,
yeah,
not just familial, because they don't have to be related, but usually it's a person
within
that you know.
close, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Nah,
It's not just
definitely
like
heard,
that, like a creepy guy, like in a corner,
yeah,
like in an alley. A
yeah.
lot of times it is
It
people
happened
that you know.
close, at
And
close,
I'm almost positive the statistic is 7 in 10 women are sexually assaulted.
yeah,
So it's like it's more common.
yeah,
It's from just like the ass grab at the club
yeah,
up to like kind of being pinned against a wall,
yeah,
or being full on rape, like,
yeah.
and everything in between. So it happens way more frequently than you think.
This episode is brought to you by Caltif Investments and Consultants. If you're looking for investments for new construction, home, or renovation project, they definitely can provide that service. If you're looking to rent or lease a property, Caltif Investment is the way to go. If you're watching this from our Instagram page, definitely their handle will be within the body of the post. If you're watching this, the full episode on YouTube, definitely send me a message and I'll definitely connect you. It's called the Network for a reason.
You are a part of a of you, and to a certain extent, like, you have to be, you're coupled with
Mm,
creeps like that, because unfortunately majority of those types of of crimes are committed, and they're men.
yeah,
I tell Vic too, like, if you're leaving a supermarket
yeah,
and the woman is leaving too, just know that she's scared of you automatically. You might
yeah.
not be a creep, but she's scared of you automatically.
Mm,
Give her some space.
true, true.
Go pretend you're going to get more oranges, something. Like, you do. You have to
No,
be.
I
You
get
have to
it.
be careful about that, because we be. Mm-mm.
No, it's definitely true, and that's why I be trying to tell my daughter all the time: be careful out there.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
protect yourself at all costs.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, but moving forward, you know, um, rent control.
Oh well, I mean, we're talking about rent,
We're
so.
talking about rent, so we might as well continue this path. But this is kind of different in terms of um not being affected sexually, but more so being affected. Maybe it could be a positive thing for tenants, but more so of a negative things, a negative thing for landlords.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this rent control is basically it's a bill that they're trying to enact, which is under the bill H7891,
Mm-hmm.
where the officials are trying to come up with a way to control housing, right? What people pay for rent, and have control over that, and
Mm-hmm.
create some type of a cap or freeze on rent. And I think that's a real sticky situation right there, because
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine a lot of landlords don't like this shit.
Of course not. Of course
I
not.
can imagine.
Of course not. I mean, to me, there's so many other compensating factors. It's
Yeah.
not a black and white topic, but I'm pissed too.
Mm,
Like, I don't think you should be telling me how much I can or can't raise a rent.
mm,
Um, like, for instance, I just got my new tax assessment,
yeah.
and I know I think it's till July
Mm-hmm,
to tell us what the new rate is going to be. I
mm-hmm,
live in Cranston, so the rate, I think it's like 1890.
mm-hmm,
Um,
That increased too.
no, so right
That's
now
current.
that's the current
Gotcha.
tax rate. But when I got my assessment, it was like 117,000 more.
Oh shit.
So, doing the math, if the rate stays the same at like
Mhm.
the 1890 or whatever it is, I could be messing up numbers. It could be 1980. I
Yeah.
forget. But when I did the math, it would change like my mortgage payment by several $100s,
Yeah.
right? And so imagine if that happens on a rental property and landlords are paying the highest tax,
Right
especially
now,
when they're not
multis.
especially when they're not living there,
Yeah.
right? It's not uh owner occupied.
Yeah.
So they're paying the highest tax rate there. So
Yeah.
in Providence, some of these multifamilies, the taxes are like $7,000.
8,000,
seven
nine
thousand,
thousand.
eight
I've
thousand
seen one
dollars,
for
right? So
11,000. I'm like,
imagine if those assessments come out
yeah.
and then that changes their mortgage
Yep.
payment, and one of these in this freeze was a viable thing
Mhm.
and they could only raise it 4%.
Yeah.
What if that 4% on the 3 units doesn't make up for that difference
Yeah.
in the raise in the increase of their
Yeah.
mortgage payment once you factor in taxes and
Mm.
then insurance too?
Yeah.
Insurance is going up for everybody.
Everybody, facts, facts,
Yeah.
and you know what? So why did under the bill H7891? I pulled up what it was really all about, right? Because I needed to have some form of clarity to it,
Yep.
right? Because I really feel like the government's always trying to have a way to put their hand in people's pockets,
Yep.
business people at that,
Yep.
you know?
And the titles be very clickbaity.
Yes.
Like it's like rent freeze, so it gets everyone like gets their panties all in a
Yeah.
wad, and everyone gets like, "Oh, rent freeze,"
Yeah.
but you have to read the full bill
Yeah,
to
exactly.
understand really what they're trying to do. So tell me,
Yeah.
what are they trying to do to us?
So right, so supposedly under this bill, it's supposed to protect residents from exorbitant rent increases
Hmm.
and evictions, right? Um, and necessary to address serious threats to the public health, safety, and general welfare, including housing insecurity, rent burden, homelessness, and displacement. And further finds that a rent control ordinance will address the most e-
Egregious.
egregious rent increases.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then moving forward, right? They say that the Providence may, by ordinance, establish regulations to control the rent in multifamily housing by taking into account, among other things, a city rental registry. So does that mean that the landlord has to register their property
Yep.
under this new? That's crazy.
Yep. New York has that.
Wow, that's crazy. Clean hands, which I'm still trying clean hands eviction. So I think that has to pertain to a tenant who's living into in the unit, and basically get, if they have to go in front of the court, whatever the case may be, they have to give a reason on why they shouldn't feel like they should be evicted. I believe it's something like that. I might be wrong, but I would like clarity on that. Also clear avenues to report a landlord. And I kind of like I'm that right there. I kind of agree, and I'll give my point to why I agree in regards to that. Actually, I'll say it now. I do believe that there are some straight up slum bag landlords out there.
Hmm.
So yes, as a tenant, if you feel like a landlord is not doing right by you, not taking care of what they fucking supposed to take care of, whether it comes down to plumbing, electrical, something major that's causing you to live in a distressed situation,
Hmm.
especially when you have kids there, and that landlord is a straight slum bag. As a tenant, you should have all rights to report that landlord, because there are some straight up slum landlords out there.
Hmm.
So I kind of agree in regards to that sense. It also allows tenants to place. This is what I'm trying to understand. This ordinance will also allow tenants to place rent into escrow
Hmm.
for long-standing
Yep.
violations. So I'm trying to get an idea.
What that means is that, say for instance, okay, you're my landlord, I
Yeah.
live in the unit, and I'm like, there's a leak and it's causing, I don't know, the bottom of the sink is rotting out,
Hmm.
and there's mold
Yep.
growing, right? And so I write you, you really should be doing things in writing,
Hmm.
so whatever, and then you're like, yeah, yeah, you brush me off, you brush me off,
Hmm.
now we're going a few months in
Hmm.
and it's just worse.
Yeah.
What they're saying is that they wouldn't deem it as non-payment of rent, right? So the
Gotcha. I know
the
where you're going
the
with this.
tenant is putting the money aside. So let's just say rent is $2,000. I'm still each month because I gave you the opportunity to fix it, but I'm putting this $2,000 into a separate account. It's
Mm-hmm.
not in my checking account, right? I'm opening a separate account
Mm-hmm.
just for that, because now if it gets to court, I have this bank statement that says, look, this is my, I don't know, this is my January, February, March rent, because I started reaching out to my landlord in November
Mm-hmm.
to kind of remedy these issues. So I have the $6,000. I know they're saying I didn't pay my rent, but I have the $6,000 here ready to pay it after he fixes the issues.
Interesting.
So they would still get the rent. That's why it needs to go into an escrow account.
That I think that makes sense to a degree. I think that makes sense because there are, like I say, there are some landlords that will just try to brush it off. Does that collect interest? Do you know of, or
Um, if it's similar to like a brokerage, um,
because brokerage escrows collect interest?
yeah,
Yeah.
you can collect interest. You don't have to. It
Yeah.
can be, so that's not illegal for it to collect interest.
All
So
right.
they could technically make money off of it.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha. It probably won't ever be
it
much
wouldn't go to
anyways.
the landlord. It would
Yeah.
be the tenants.
Oh, so that interest will. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So in other words, like in our brokerage escrow account,
Hmm.
that those escrow funds, they really only pass in and out,
Yeah.
right? Like you can't make a payment from it. Like I
Gotcha.
couldn't. That's highly illegal, and I think that's why they're specifying that it needs to be in an escrow account.
Makes sense. That. Thanks for that clarity. That makes sense now. And also relocation assistance paid by the landlord. So the way I'm understanding that is if the tenant has to move based on the bill that I read,
Mm-hmm.
if the tenant has to move, let's say because the landlord needs to renovate the unit or whatever the case may be, uh, they saying that the bill will probably require the landlord to pay for the tenant's relocation.
You know what annoys me
I feel
about
like it's
that?
stuck. I feel like
Now, you know what annoys me about that is that for years,
Mhm.
cash for keys is frowned upon,
Mm,
like from a government perspective,
yeah.
like paying a tenant to leave.
Hmm.
Like a situation you might buy a property
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, I
Which
got ten
happens.
thousand dollars, right?
Which
But that's
happens.
like a frowned upon thing. But now that's basically what you're asking.
Yeah.
Now it's cool because you like it's cool when you do it, but not cool when I do it.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like I mean, it would depend on the circumstances too. Like, I'm sorry, if a tenant was terrible,
Hmm.
crazy,
Yeah.
doing all kinds of wild things,
Yeah.
and then a judge is like, now you got to pay for their moving
Hmm.
expenses, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
And most of the time, in situations like that, they'll you can't just hire like a Joe Schmo mover. Like, it can't
Yeah.
be like some Craigslist dude
Yeah.
that be like, oh, move them for cheap. They want what is it? Like they have to be
Licensed
no,
movers.
like insurance bound. I know like there's not very many
Yeah.
like big
Moving
moving
companies.
companies that actually have, it's like they have like bond coverage. I don't remember what it
Mhm.
is. Actually Prutha was telling me about it. But yeah, it would be expensive.
Yeah.
Like it would cost a pretty penny.
I totally get it. You know what I hate? A lot that I've been seeing on social media is it's a lot of these tenants who are effed up. I want to say fucked up. Excuse my language, but I have to stress this out because a lot of these tenants are fucking crazy for the things that they do to a lot of these landlords' homes.
Mm-hmm.
They destroy these landlord units, and I've been seeing a lot of that behavior on social media. And I think it's unfair because I don't know what the issue. All right, granted, I don't know what the issue that transpired between a landlord and a tenant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I wasn't there. Point blank. Period. But what a lot of these tenants needs to realize is that they don't own these properties. They're not the one paying these mortgages. So when they go about destroying an owner's property, that leaves a bad taste in me. Pause. No diddy. But I have an issue with that. I have an issue with that, and I think that tenants needs to wake up and realize that what they are doing is making matters worse for themselves because if they're looking to move into another unit or into another apartment,
Mm-hmm.
that landlord could, especially if that landlord for the new place that you're trying to move into finds a way to reach out to your previous landlord, that landlord is going to let that landlord know straight up that tenant's trash.
Hmm.
That tenant trashed my unit.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with a few friends that are landlords about this kind of false sense of ownership,
Mm,
especially from longtime tenants.
yeah.
And it's not necessarily even tenants that are destroying units. These are tenants that are taking care of homes beautifully
Hmm.
because they live there.
Yeah.
It's still to a certain extent theirs,
Of
right?
course.
Because they're still paying rent and furnishing it and having family dinners there and
Mhm.
holidays and
Of
making memories
course.
in these spaces. But I was giving some advice to friends that have houses that are kind of, I call them like set it and forget it houses,
Yeah.
right? The only time they really speak to the tenants is when they gotta collect rent, or if a
Hmm.
tenant's like, hey, I
If
don't
there's
know,
an
there's an
issue.
issue or
Yeah.
whatever. But they're not like going and doing these checks. So
Hmm.
now when you go years and you have a tenant that's just lived in a unit for years,
Yeah.
they do have that false sense of ownership. So
Hmm.
now I've seen this happen. Now we're going to sell the
Interesting.
unit.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to sell the house, and they feel so offended. They feel like their home is being stripped from under them, which to a certain extent I understand, but
Yeah.
also it's not yours.
Yeah.
And I know you feel like it's yours because you planted some flowers
Yeah.
outside and you
They
sweep
probably they
out
probably raise their
there,
kids in
raise your
that.
kids there, made all
Yeah.
these beautiful memories.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's really not yours.
True.
And I think the issue is really comes from a lack of financial literacy, especially particularly in the communities that we grew up in,
Interesting.
because we're never going to please both sides,
Of
right?
course.
Like
Of
we're
course.
never going to have a tenant landlord handbook that
Yeah.
is like everyone's happy.
Yeah.
The issue with some of these things that they're trying to pass is like it's swinging the pendulum too far
To the
to
tenant
to
side.
a tenant side.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like if there was more education for a tenant who understood the complexities and what
Mhm.
it takes to own a property and the money and the resources that go into owning one to up to 10 properties, 10
Mhm.
whatever plus, there would be a better understanding. And I think a lot of these local politicians too should be doing more of a deep dive in that way as well, because you're the people that you are representing, right? Whatever ward you're
Mhm.
representing, they're not just tenants.
Mhm.
You do have people that are your voters that are landlords as well.
Mhm.
And so there has to be, I just, all of these things, they're just so one-sided.
Yeah.
There's no, there's they're not necessarily taken into account a landlord's perspective.
Yeah.
And then I also hear from other landlords, and I'm like, yeah, you sound crazy because they want the pendulum to swing
On
completely
their
their
side. Yeah.
side, right? And it's like
Yeah.
that's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
So like, why are you even thinking about it? You're wasting your time and
Yeah.
your energy and even thinking about it. Try to meet a little bit more
Yeah.
halfway, um, because it's wild out there.
No, it is. And then, like I say, like to me, I have it. It could go both ways for me. I could either go. I the landlords that I like are the landlords who do right by the tenants.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the slum landlords. Those individuals I hate. I like good tenants that calls you up that if there's a major issue with the property and they pay their rent. Those
Mm-hmm.
tenants are good. I hate tenants who don't give two shits about your apartment, destroys it. You walk in, animal poop all over the place.
Mm.
Walls are all craned up by kids. Walls are broken into maybe because they got into a fight with their significant other. They break in walls.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Those things that could cause literally money for a landlord. I dislike those type of tenants. And it goes back to like you were saying, financial literacy. It is not no one's fault that the housing market is the way the housing market is today.
Mm-hmm.
A landlord has a mortgage to pay. It is not the landlord's fault that they can afford to buy the house. It's not therefore they're earning the median income. They probably making enough money to which is the reason why they have the
To
ability
afford a
to
six hundred
afford.
thousand dollar
It's,
multifamily
you
in
can't get
today's.
mad at them for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's true.
Respect their property,
It's true.
you know. And for those who are renting from landlords, if it's an issue and you want to do something about it, own property, own real estate.
Mm-hmm.
See how it feels to run a property. I remember I was on Facebook one time. I think I probably spoke about this one time on one of our episodes. And there's a young lady who purchased a property, a multifamily. She posted a comment on Facebook a while back, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I understand what landlords go through." Know what I mean? Owning a property,
Mhm.
tenants don't. There are some, not all tenants by any means, not all tenants, but there are a lot of tenants out there that don't give two shits about a landlord's or a property owner's property.
Mhm.
And those individuals, if you guys don't like paying what you're paying right now for rent, oh, step up to the plate, get your financials right, get your credit right, and own a
But
property.
and you know what? But some people, let's be honest,
And
some
some people
people
don't like
can't. No,
some.
but some people are absolutely they're not going to be able to. But also from a tenant's perspective, you're being screened, but also screen the landlords too.
Mhm,
And I understand there's a sense of desperation in a lot of cases to find
mhm.
somewhere to live because there's not very many available apartments. But if there's a red flag when you're meeting a landlord, they're
Back
talking
up.
what like don't don't put yourself through that because
Mhm.
there are a lot of good landlords
Landlords,
out there.
100%.
Like this is not to bash tenants or landlords, but there are a lot
Facts.
of good people out there where you are. I'd like to consider myself a good landlord.
I
I
I
do.
manage properties, so I think I do pretty good
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
vesting like the tenants
The
that move
human
in.
aspect of it, I
Yeah,
do. I do feel bad, and I do try to do right by people, but
yeah.
also you attract more you attract more, what is it saying, you attract more flies what honey, or bees with honey,
I don't know what
whatever
you're
it is.
trying to say,
you
Ange.
you attract more flies with honey or whatever. So be nice, be kind to people, like put
Facts.
yourself in people's shoes, understand that everybody out here is struggling, but
Yeah,
from a tenant perspective, some of them are wild.
yeah.
Like there are steps, there are actually, so with these bills
Mhm.
that they're
Yeah,
proposing, there are still things out there that tenants can do.
yeah,
There are ways that if you're living in a situation where the property is like falling apart,
yeah.
there are things that you can do. You can be reaching out to your property manager or
Mhm,
your landlord asking for some of these
mm,
things to be fixed. But also, here's something that I found out lately
mhm.
is that there are some tenants that they know that there's some things that need to be fixed in an apartment, right? Landlords are not going every week and doing
Yeah,
checks, but maybe they're grandfathered into a really low rent,
mhm.
$1,000. They've been paying $1,000 for the last 7 years. So they know that if they start reporting these things are wrong with the unit and now the
I know where
unit's
you're
getting
going with
fixed,
it.
it's
Yeah,
not about
mm,
retaliation,
yeah,
right? The landlord's not going to
yeah.
retaliate, but now if the landlord is fixing things and repairing an apartment,
They have to make
right,
up for it expense wise.
especially if the landlord is appropriately running that house like a business,
Yeah,
right? Meaning they have their Excel spreadsheet and they see what their overhead
yeah.
is, right? Those repairs, if now they like, oh, I don't like the paneling, I need
That's
it
the
to be
part. That's a
painted. So now
financial
they hire
literacy part they don't know.
so now
Yeah,
they hire a painter to go in and like and paint the apartment or
yeah.
whatever, and say that just runs them $1,000. That goes on their expense
Great
receipt. And
point.
so they're
Great
trying to
point.
they need to make up for that.
Yeah,
That's not like this person is not necessarily just rolling in the dough because
yeah.
they own an apartment. They still have to run that like a business. It's
Business.
just like if they own the bodega, you couldn't just go and get free candy all the time.
Facts. Yeah,
Like it's cute every once in a
yeah,
while. They can do that if they want, but they can't do it regularly because
yeah.
they're there to make money.
Facts.
So in that instance, I know for a fact there are some tenants that just they don't report things
Mhm.
because they want to keep their rent as
As
low as
low as
possible,
possible. Yeah,
as low as possible until it's convenient to be
yeah.
crazy. And then they're like, I'll violate this whole shit
Mm,
because this is wrong and that is wrong with the
yeah,
apartment. I'm like, but but
yeah.
you were getting away because but
You're getting away with it. Yeah,
you were paying so low rent. You can't find an apartment at you're paying 1997 prices right now.
facts.
So that's a whole other aspect like people are not thinking of.
Yeah, definitely agree with you. Listen, like Ange said not a few seconds ago, we're not here to bash no tenant, and we're not here to bash no landlord. We're just speaking on facts in regards to what we see on a daily
And
basis
if you're
in the real
offended, then you
estate.
probably are one of the ones that suck.
Yeah,
Sorry.
facts.
No.
Yeah,
No.
pull up your panties, man.
No, like
Stop getting offended.
if you're a landlord and you're offended that like you referred to some as
Yeah.
slumlords, then you might want to.
Yeah,
You might
you
want to
too.
check
You
that.
too. Pull up your
But
panties.
same
Stop
thing,
getting offended.
same thing with tenants. Like if that doesn't apply, this is just pure entertainment.
Yeah, nah, this is not pure entertainment. This is pure
No,
realness.
if you're no, if you're a tenant, you're like, oh no, I'm not crazy. I don't be doing these things. I just be going to work and minding my business, drinking my water, and keeping my skin clear. Like this is pure entertainment. This don't apply to you.
Nah, facts, and that's true.
But if it
That's
does
true.
apply, I
But
hope
if
you
it
learn
does apply
something.
to you, hey, don't know what to tell you.
No, stop sucking. No, it's true. Be
Facts.
better. Do
Yeah.
better.
No, I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Yeah, but listen, if you guys will always see us, you guys will always know where we're at. Um, if you guys ever want to try to reach out to us for anything on our platform, on the network platform, contact either DM us or
I want
comment,
to know what
engage.
people are thinking about this though, like this specific topic
Yeah,
with
nah,
the
definitely,
rents,
definitely.
with specifically this one. Oh, and then there's a couple other bills. Hold on, let me bring
Hmm.
them up.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you what they are.
Can these bills can they pull up online? Because when I went back to try to pull up on my iPad,
Yeah.
it closed out.
So I think
So can people pull up some of these bills if they want to be
I think
aware?
so. So there were three. Because the one that you were mentioning was the H7891,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
I know there was another one, H7989,
Mm-hmm.
and that one was specifically to authorize cities and towns to
Mm-hmm.
establish like housing authorities.
Gotcha. All right.
So outside of the state, each city would probably have like their own things.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one. It's a Senate bill, S2417, and that one was to set a limitation on rent increases to
Mm-hmm.
4%,
Gotcha.
unless the landlord can articulate necessity for a greater increase. Now,
Yeah. And that typically will be due to like
I would think that would be
taxes,
taxes,
insurance,
insurance.
and things that could
If they
affect
had
the
a
mortgage.
if they had a balloon or an adjustable rate
Gotcha.
mortgage and it went
Gotcha.
up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty
That
sure
makes
that's a
sense in
way.
that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff I kind of like to see, because
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to enact something and it's gonna hurt a certain group of people, like
Mm-hmm.
let's try to like meet people halfway.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we're never gonna please everyone.
Facts.
But in that case, I mean, 4% is too low
Mm-hmm.
a
It's
year.
too low.
That you couldn't go above that.
Wow.
Imagine if you were a landlord and you just like redid a bunch of porches,
Mm-hmm.
like structural things, and
Yeah.
did all this, so you spent a decent amount of money, and uh I don't know, now your expenses are just a little bit over the top, and
Yeah.
so you need to raise rent in order to make up for that,
Yeah.
because literally you'd be coming out of pocket. That's the thing that people don't understand. Like, because I'll be damned if I owned a house and let's just say my mortgage payment was $4,000
Mm-hmm.
and I was and I didn't live there,
Yeah.
and I had to come out of pocket.
Yeah, I just did a quick math. So I was trying to figure out, all right, if somebody was paying, and this is just using a low number. Somebody was paying a $2,000 mortgage, 4% of that. Hopefully my math is right. It's like $80.
Right.
So
Right.
like,
Right.
how does that?
Imagine.
Yeah, yeah,
Imagine.
yeah. No, I get it.
Because what's
It sucks.
yeah, the
It's not.
$80 isn't gonna
It's
do
not gonna do
anything.
nothing.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Nah, I totally get it. Totally get it. Nah, but you guys know what it is. Until next time, your boy Sadiq. If you guys have any questions, please engage. We love the engagements and we love the polls. Continue polling, I guess. Continue voting or whatever. DM us, whether it's Angela or I. DM us.
Yeah.
Reach out to us if you guys have any real estate questions, whatever the case may be. And also one of the thing, if you're a Rhode Island renter and you would like to, I would like to invite you guys, or we would like to invite you guys onto our platform to talk about your experience as a renter. So if you're a Rhode Island renter and you feel like you're being dealt in an unjust way in terms of what you're paying for rent or whatever that situation or issue looks like for you, please reach out to us and so we can sit down and talk about just to hear from your perspective in regards to what's going on in the housing market as well.
Yeah, I want to know.
I'll definitely be intrigued as well. I think that would definitely be an interesting type conversation to have with an actual tenant. To hear from their perspective. But until next time, it's your boy Sadiq.
And your girl Angela.
We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Let's
Peace.
go.